Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an absolutely astounding 3-topic, 90-minute show ready to rock and roll. We're talking Starfield Shattered Space. That new direct from Bethesda was amazing. Got me super hyped for the DLC. Cannot wait to jump back in. I love the fact that everything is handcrafted and it's in a one space, which we know they know how to tell stories like that. Far Harbor, this is a DLC that was out for Fallout 4. Now, I never played it, but a lot of people that I spoke to that have said that they're getting the same vibes. And apparently, Far Harbor was one of the best DLCs for a Fallout game in the history of the franchise. So that gets me super excited. Well, Diablo 4 made $1 billion with AB. I mean, this is why Xbox wanted ABK to happen, because owning something like Diablo and Overwatch and other games like World of Warcraft kind of makes a lot of money and makes a lot of dollars and cents. And of course, we're talking the Xbox Handheld. And we'll get into exactly why we're talking about it. But welcome, everyone, and let's welcome in Jamie Moran. Jamie, how you feeling, brother? I know that you're sometimes under witness protection from the Arkham Asylum escapees. They've come for me as well. But I'll tell you, for Xbox players, if you're like me and you like something like Astrobot, don't say it publicly, because even when you are infatuated with it and you think it's one of the best games of the year, people still come for you. But how you feeling, Jamie?
Yeah, man, I feel good. It's a good week for gaming. Good news this week. And look, the crazies are always out, and the crazies are always out, and they are always angry. And a lot of it is aimed towards positivity. So if you like something, you're posting some gameplay. Hey, I've discovered this brand new indie game, or hey, if you're like me, I've been playing the New World, the Eternum open beta. People do not like positivity, but if you go out there and bash a game 24/7, make 8 different accounts with anime profile pictures because you like stalking adult males, well, those people exist. But other than that, I'm good.
What an explanation, Jamie. This is why I love having you part of the show. That's amazing. Hey, Infinite Umbra, how you feeling, brother? You also have had the battles with the so-called gamers of the interwebs, and you not only kill them with knowledge, you kill them with kindness. And you kind of make people embarrassed to be themselves, which is what I love. And we're not going to specifically mention who you had an issue with, because why give them props or even exposure? They expose themselves on a regular basis. Hold on, pause. Hold on and say, don't expose yourself. But how you feeling, Umbra? Welcome.
Oh, I'm feeling all right. Outside of killing them with kindness and sometimes knowledge, I killed them with meanness too.
I mean, you can, and it's well deserved. Honestly, it's well deserved.
Absolutely. They definitely got some venom back from me. I don't believe in turning the other cheek. But I will say sometimes I was like, you know what, this one case isn't worth it. After maybe hours of going back and forth, I'm like, you know what,
waste of your time, your valuable time.
Yep. So what I did after that, I just decided to host a space. And much like you said, Jamie, it's like, if you speak positively is one thing. If you just give a fair thought and opinion, that's enough. And I get triggered. I triggered our Hoove brothers by just simply saying that, if you want a performative option with the PS5 Pro, and they're comparing it to a 4070 in some ways, obviously because of the AI upscaler, then why not just go to the PC and get you a full performative thing and outdo what the Pro can offer? It's just a thought, you know what I mean? And you've guys may have heard me mentioning it to Xbox guys too. Hey, PC might be the option. It's no thing, right? I'm not going to force my thought on anybody. And these guys got upset.
Yeah,
I'm talking about they were calling me everything but the child of God. Boom.
Yeah,
but it's all right. I had a space after that, and I challenged our Hoove brothers to come on through. And we had actually a really, really long and good discussion More of the toxic ones didn't come up, but I had a good discussion with other friends and stuff like that. So it was fun. It was productive in a way.
I mean, listen, production in trying to have a conversation is always important. You know, open-ended conversation, not one-way conversation where it's your way, the highway. That's you're never going to get anything, and you don't do that. And you know, congratulations to you for actually having the space. Me, I would have just blocked. I've gone on a blocking spree in the last couple of weeks that have been like I was unhinged because I don't listen. I'm going to be 54 on the 25th, right? I did a career that dealt with a lot of violence, right? And I don't need that in my gaming life. So if you're going to be a D, then you're just going to get the block. And you can then take pictures of me blocking you and put it all to your socials. It's perfectly fine. You know, the old saying from I'll make you famous, not a problem. Make me famous. It is okay. But listen, again, folks, there's no gameplay. We have actually the overlays that Sean LeBrie did. They need a little bit of adjusting. So I'm going to reach out to him. He's going to just adjust what you see on your screen. It's not by much. It's just by an inch or two. I will get back to playing gameplay as soon as they fix the situation with my lines here. I'm getting drops left, right, and center, and it just looks like a picture show. So until that happens, and they're coming tomorrow to kind of figure out what the hell is happening from the street level, we'll get back to doing gameplay potentially next week because I've been recording gameplay a lot, and I do want to show you how good I am at Call of Duty, to be honest with you, because I am pretty damn good for an old bastard. But let's get into the conversation here. Actually, before we do, Army Veteran, what's going on, brother? It's great to see you back. And once again, thank you for the very generous $5 super chat. And Army Veteran says, yo, Boom, been away for a few years. Good to see you still doing your thing. Glad to be back, brother. It's happy to have you here. Hopefully you've been well. And of course, if you know, we super appreciate the generosity. Welcome as always. But look, you know, when I write these shows, gentlemen and chat, I usually write them small, medium, and large, right? We usually keep the big topic for the back end of the show because we get people that funnel in midway through, and we want everybody to be able to have a conversation with the chat with one another in the chat. We want everyone to have their opinion. If you hear something that maybe you like, you want to talk about it, that you don't like, you want to talk about it, and we try to address it. But like almost from inception, and again, everyone's entitled to their opinion, and everybody is welcome here. There is no, PlayStation gamers don't exist or can't be here. Everyone is if you want to be here, you're welcome. Right? I don't care what console you game on. Everybody's welcomed here. But we got to open up with the handheld, and why I want to open up with it is literally from inception when the chat started. When I posted, when I got ready to, do the show, someone had made mention, again, no names here because we don't name names, regarding why do we think, or more specifically, why do I think that a handheld is happening sooner than later? Well, there's a couple of key points here. And I want to kind of get to that before we actually start breaking down why I think it's happening at the Game Awards. Now, if you recall, and I'm pretty damn good with dates, and I love evidence-based conversation because, again, we can't argue facts. If the facts are written, it's not an opinion piece, it's written facts, and things have been said, you can't challenge it because that is what's been said. So on February 15th of 2024, Sarah Bond, Phil Spencer, and Matt Booty sat down with Tina Amini, and they had their what was called the Xbox Business Direct. And during the conversation, Sarah Bond specifically said that they had, and I quote, exciting hardware news that they were going to share during the holiday. Now, there have been a lot of pushback to this particular title, simply saying, does a Game Awards 2024 reveal make sense? Now, a lot of folks, and of course, this is the anti-Xbox community, said that the reveal already happened during June, and that was the Xbox Series X 2 terabyte, the diskless 1 terabyte, and the 1 terabyte S. And I don't claim to be the sharpest tool in the shed here, gentlemen in chat, but June is not the holiday. So I don't think that's what she meant. What I believe she meant was, well, what happens? What one big event happens every year that's watched by millions, and every year it gets bigger? Well, that's the Game Awards. That is Jeff Keighley's Game Awards. And in 2019, again, these are facts, folks, they shocked the world, but not only showing Hellblade 2, they showed off what the Series X was going to look like. I think it shocked Jeff Keighley himself. That's how taken aback he was. Just look at his face. Go back and watch the reveal. I don't think he knew about it. I don't care what he says. I'm telling you what I feel. Now, what happened a year later, Umbra and Jamie Moran? Well, the Series X released. Now, I don't know. And if you have copies of this rule book, please DM me with it, with pictures. If you have to, declassify some stuff, black it out with the magic marker, it's fine. I don't know where we've gotten into this mindset where the Xbox has to release their new console in 2026. And during that release, which is when that system is expected to happen, they have to have a second SKU or SKU as a handheld. Where's the rules for that? Because, like I was telling to Jamie, and Jamie, I'm going to go to you first on this. The handheld market right now is getting super crowded. There are a lot of legit handhelds. I'm not talking about the stuff from China with no name that play as well as a Lenovo or a Steam Deck or a ROG Ally. I'm talking about those three main ones. It's starting to get crowded. The longer Xbox holds their cards, the more difficult it's going to be to sell this in a market that is already packed with PC-based handhelds. So my thought and theory, and why I decided to talk about this, is because of a comment, not only what Sarah Bond said about showing off new hardware in the holiday, is Phil Spencer himself literally said, I think we should have a handheld too. He doesn't say that publicly if he doesn't, if A, it's not going to happen officially, or B, it's already being worked upon. Now, I went to LA, hung out with a lot of people, some people that actually are making these things. And even though I can't express who I spoke to or exactly what we talked about, I can assure you that a handheld is in fact happening. Now, do I know that they're going to show that this year? No, that is an assumption. That is literally my opinion. Whether that happens or not, we'll see. But Jamie, let's get into this because, again, Sarah Bond during the business meeting or the business direct, whatever you want to call it, said exciting hardware to show off during the holiday of 2024. We are rolling into the holiday in 2 months. The holiday wasn't in June. They showed 3 new pieces of tech, of hardware, of current gen hardware. That's not considered exciting. That's considered innovation. We're making some bigger SSDs. We're making things a little bit, cheaper, potentially. We're changing some colors. That's not exciting. So I think I'm onto something here. And I think that if you're going to go and you're going to shock the world with a handheld, the first Xbox handheld, you do it at the Game Awards. Let's get your hot take.
Yeah, so if you were to tell me 5 years ago, if anyone told me 5 years ago that Microsoft or Sony would be considering making a handheld, I would laugh. I would laugh because, for the longest time, Nintendo kind of had that market lockdown. But as we saw with the Steam Deck kind of made people realize, oh, yeah, we can make exciting new handhelds that aren't just Nintendo devices. Yep. So, like, everyone on Earth is now making a brand new handheld. You have the ROG Ally, which is popping off. Like, one of my friends has them. He can't stop talking about the thing. You have the Lenovo Go. There's like a ton of different like PC handhelds, and it's also filled the gap in a market where if you wanted to play PC games on the go, you had one option, and that was an overpriced gaming laptop. So like PC gamers, they have options now, which is great. But in that meantime, there's people been wanting a brand new Xbox handheld because people do want this stuff. Hell, I remember back in the original OG Xbox days that people were wanting an Xbox handheld. Back in the 360, same thing. PlayStation fans, they've been asking for a native handheld. And clearly Phil Spencer's interested. There's kind of a portable version of the Windows kernel out there, which is great because that'll work on those handheld devices. But if I remember correctly, the Xbox UI is a modified version of the Windows kernel. So, like, with Phil Spencer talking about how much they want to do a Windows, or I should say a handheld, it kind of makes sense. We all know, like, the next gen consoles coming out in 2026, they have no need nor want to put out a mid gen refresh. Who like, let's be real, there's no excitement, right? There's the forced excitement because the power narrative will be taken back, but we were told for 4 years that power doesn't matter. So, like, and for the past 4 years, I've never heard anyone really asking for a mid gen refresh, but for a handheld, that's exciting. That's different. We've never had that on Xbox before. So if you could take your Xbox games on the go, and the thing about Xbox is, which they have over PlayStation and even over Nintendo's, they have backwards compatibility with 3 previous generations. Not just ports, not even these modified little things, full on native backwards compatibility. So if you can make it so that you have your Xbox handheld, and they announce it this year at the Game Awards, when Jeff Keighley isn't getting, noted on Twitter. It'll be exciting because it's something new, it's different. Like you said, the digital Xbox that's out now or coming out soon or whatever, like, that's cool. It's an option. Storage options is cool, but like, exciting new hardware, that's handheld stuff. And personally, I would love to see what a native Xbox handheld would look like, made by the Xbox team. So if I could play my 360 games on the go with upgrades, like, there's no other device on the planet that can do that. And like, streaming's fun. People can stream games on the phone and all that stuff, but it's just not going to be the same experience. So, like, while you can get these little handheld attachable things for your phone and stuff and your tablet, that's a stopgap. I think it's time for a native Xbox handheld, and if they release it next year and announce it this year, that'll be perfect because they're still going to be able to sell these, house, home consoles, and all the way through to 2026. Like, the problem is with the way they announced the Xbox Series X is that they announced it in December 2029. Sorry, 2019. I'm all over the place today. Sorry.
That's right.
They announced it in December 2019, and the Xbox One sales kind of fell off a cliff. Like, people just stopped buying them because they thought, well, we may as well just wait. But why not? You're going to save up for a brand new, powerful next gen console. But if they announce a handheld this year that releases next year, that doesn't really interfere with their console sales at all. It's a different thing altogether. And then they release their next gen console in 2026, so they have new hardware and existing hardware out in the wild, satisfying different markets.
Yes.
And I think it would just work. And, like, look, the PlayStation 5 Pro, we don't know what's going to happen with that. It may be a success, it may not be a success, but there's no excitement out there. But for a handheld, people have been asking for a handheld. Nobody wants a mid-gen refresh. Do you know what really annoys me about this mid-gen refresh situation? Why a handheld is exciting over that is because when this generation started, out of the gate, almost everything was 60 frames per second. Nobody was talking about frames, actually, because everyone was satisfied. And then in 2022, I think it was in the same month, October 2022, we had two video games. That was Gotham Knights and A Plague Tale Requiem. And those were 30 frames per second. And the second those games were revealed to be 30, all of a sudden, people lost their marbles. They were like, we need new hardware. We need brand new hardware so we can get 60. And I was telling people that is nonsense because back in the 360 generation, what happened? We got games throughout the entire generation that looked better than the previous games in that series. We had better performance in those games. It's because developers optimized for the bloody hardware. This time around, we're not getting that. People are wanting to rely on more hardware just to brute force it. And what happened with A Plague Tale Requiem? Like 3 months after launch, it got a 60 FPS update because they bloody optimized it. There's no excitement around a mid-gen refresh because we don't need them. But A handheld, that's a completely different thing. People would love a handheld. So I think on the Xbox side, I think it's quite possible we will see it announced this year. And that's exciting. And I don't want to see a mid-gen refresh from Xbox. We don't need it this time. It's not like last generation when we had the 4K adoption of TVs in 2016 and 2017, and people were buying 4K Blu-rays, and it was exciting. That's not the same this time around. But with handhelds are popping off. Like the Steam Deck basically did it,
Yes.
And it proves that if you aren't Nintendo, you can have success. And I think Xbox has been looking at Steam Deck, ROG Ally, and looking at all those sales and the amount of people talking about these consoles online. And I think Microsoft wants in on that money.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why. And again, the simple fact is they're watching other handhelds be sold out when they come out, and they're all selling very well. The Lenovo is selling very well. The Steam Deck is selling very well. The bigger model that came out a year later, same thing for the ROG Ally and the ROG Ally X. They're all selling very well. Microsoft wants in on that, but you see, Umbra, there's other reasons why they want in. And that's probably because they don't have a very large presence in the Asian market, which has become heavily mobile, heavy PC, and now, well, handheld has come back in a big way. And they're getting their PC experience on their handheld, but we know the handhelds are selling well there. Now, if you're Xbox and you're trying to make a splash in a region that will not buy your box, but potentially will buy a handheld. Now, right now, they don't have a StarCraft. But what if, Umbra, a new StarCraft is announced? Because we know that they're working on it. They may not have said anything. They understand. The RTS market is massive right now. And just look at what they're doing. Aura History Untold is upon us. Now, that's PC only, not Xbox yet. But you've had a ton. Frostpunk is happening. You've had one of the other what was the name of the other RTS that just came out like 2 weeks ago. It scored really well. Xbox is super happy with the way with its reception. So if you release a new StarCraft, I'm sorry to say the Asian market would eat it up. And if you had a matching handheld, forget about it. It'd be ridiculous. So, but let me reel this back in, Umbra. Why do I think there's going to be a handheld reveal this fall? Well, it's because of what Sarah Bond said. And she said holiday, which was in June. She said exciting hardware news coming this holiday. Well, what could be exciting? Now, I don't think they're going to show off what the next Xbox is going to look like, because I don't think they know what the Xbox looks like right now, like they did with the X. But that's a different thought and theory when it comes to the handheld. It is a market that is hot right now, and if they do what they did with the Series X, that means we'd get a reveal at Jeff's show and then a release next year for holiday. And next year is expected to be a banger of a year, just like this year for Xbox first party. And if you can have legitimately, and I'm putting myself on the stand here, if you give me a handheld that's boots up like my Xbox does, that's underneath my TV right now, you have me hook, line, and sinker. And there are a lot of people in this chat right now saying, yep, sell me an Xbox Game Pass handheld, and I'm freaking in. Where do you kind of fall? Do you think, because there's a lot of people here. First of all, let me just address this. I saw a lot of people talking about it. Jeff got destroyed on social media by a site called Hard Drive. I don't know why the Hard Drive, did what he did, but everything he said, he wasn't wrong. He got roasted. And there's other people in here saying, why give Jeff something so important? F Jeff. The problem is this. You're not going to like what I'm going to say. And I don't like it, but it's a sad reality. Jeff hosts the biggest show for gaming each and every year, and he effing knows it. He knows that the Game Awards continues to grow. Every year, it's millions upon millions of new viewers. So, unfortunately, even though he does treat Xbox like a fifth wheel, if you will, and does not give them the respect or even pretends to be their friend and partner. Starfield comes out, you get one tweet. You get the PS5 Pro announcement, you get 17 tweets, and then a whole economics class on the back end to tell us about inflation. He's never done that for Xbox, but he did it for PlayStation. He's a PlayStation guy, not a problem. But be a diplomat and be a good one, and he's not. He's not a good diplomat at all. He doesn't even try to hide it. And the problem with the Game Awards, why show something like this at the Game Awards, is because, just what I said moments ago, Umbra, millions upon millions of people watch this thing. And if you're going to pique the interest of your brand, which is in third place right now, you do it on the biggest stage. Let's get your thoughts, man.
Yeah, Boom. I mean, you dressed it up well, I think, overall, as far as you talking about like general journalist perception, I suppose, and how they tried to twist it or whatever.
Yep.
That's one thing. And I try not to put too much onus on paying attention to what they say. I know PC Gamer is bad at it. They do it often, I've seen. I know there's another one. I don't want to keep naming names, I suppose. But I've seen them do some things. I know Cloveril called them out on it, and kudos to him for doing so. And I thought the header was weird too. It's like, what do you mean save it? Like it did well. We're not in a Concord situation here.
Yeah, we're gonna get in. Actually, I'm gonna lead with that. That's again, it's a head scratcher, and he's supposed to be above board, and to me that just lowers him. We'll get into who said that in a second, but please continue.
Yeah, I just thought it was odd. But as far as for the handheld, I think Jamie hit on a lot of great points. I mean, as far as what it could be, as far as the handheld, yeah, I do believe it's legit. I do believe it's a real thing, and I think that's kind of it could at least be kind of that killer app that Xbox would need to kind of gain or grab a few people. And I think they might be using that for one because of the growing market of handhelds and at least Windows versions of handhelds, especially. Shout out to my rock goons, but also too is just it's a lot of flexibility there. I mean, you can. One of the thoughts I had, and I talked to Kay about this and asked him, well, how can they go about doing it if they have a handheld and is less powerful than the standard version, right? The base, the Series X in this case version of next gen. And I said, is there a way to have any proprietary type of thing they can plug it into? Like if they dock it, would that cause it to be at least as at performance great as the I guess the hardcore version, if you will, or the premium console, if you will? And they were like, well, not really necessarily that. I forgot some of the reasoning behind it, but what they can do and what the Windows type handhelds allow, for instance, the ROG Ally allows for you to plug in a eGPU to the ROG Ally, and you can. I'm sure they would allow for this on that device as well if it is in fact legit. And so I can go from anywhere up to maybe plugging in a 3080 or something like that, or I'm not sure what it would allow up to, but you can plug up a higher eGPU and essentially have yourself a little makeshift PC. You know what I mean? A real one. And so there's room for that right there. I like the idea of that. I was responding to a PTK the other day, and he said, "What were my dream specs?" Now I started listing all type of crazy stuff, but I think if they gave us a screen comparable to the ROG Ally, which is a 1080p screen, IPS, 120 hertz, I believe, they gave us that, gave us a good solid battery, 80 watts rather, battery, just things comparable to the ROG Ally X, I suppose. And I guess keep it at a decent price point, which I still kind of believe that with the Pro coming in at 700, the next gen might start around that way as well. I'm wondering how it's going to stack up. But if they did, I mean, that would be the same price point as a ROG Ally essentially. So I'm interested in seeing how they're going to approach it, if they're, because PlayStation is not subsidizing anymore when it comes to the Pro. So I'm wondering how Xbox is going to approach that, if they're going to try. And I've said this before, I had people that disagree, but I wonder if, since they haven't quite sold to profit the Series X and such, will they decide to kind of eat the cost a bit? That's what I'm interested in seeing, how they approach that. But yeah, the handheld it will be dope for so many reasons to be shown off at the VGAs. They did the same, obviously, with the Series X when they did the announcement. This will be a nice way to cap off the year and say, hey, this will be available by 2026 or something like that, or whatever. And that'll be the start of the next gen. I like the idea of it a lot. I mean, it also could always just be the case that we don't see anything until next year or whatever. But I definitely do want to see it, or see that it's actually true. I've had a few people who are behind the scenes talking to some people, and they are also alluding that it's legit. By the way, I can't say who, but it's other people saying the same thing I've heard in different circles as well. So I believe it's legit. I don't see, and we've been hearing this for the better part of late last year, I would say, maybe.
Yep.
So this is it's something I can definitely see being a real thing. Yeah, and I mean, it's a lot of positives, I think, that comes with the idea of us having the handheld for Xbox. For me, seeing how now, talking about the PC situation, I'm gaming a lot on the PC. One way that Xbox can definitely get me to say, I'm going to invest in this, is to have something like a nice handheld. If they put out a decent handheld in the market, that's something that can definitely catch my eye, that I can see myself, getting behind. I don't know if I necessarily need the premium console, depending on what it looks like. Maybe I might change my mind and what the specs are, but if I have a handheld version, to me, that's a bit of a game changer. You know what I mean? I can do much more with that, taking it on the go and things like that. So that works out in a lot of ways for me, versus anything else. So I like the idea. I'm just wondering how they're going to tackle it. Of course, if they're going to have Steam enabled, like we've been hearing, all those things are W to me. So just get the price point right. Like you say, showcase it during a showcase event like the VGAs or award, should I say, and then that would be, man. I think it would land well, and I think it's a good kind of, and I know maybe it shouldn't be seen this way, but it's kind of a good counter to kind of gain a lot of eyes on your device after we've heard about the Pro and everything, and the Pro will have released by this point. So it's kind of their, hey, this is what we got going on in the future. This is what we next gen is starting, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So I can see that being a positive if they do it that way. But yeah.
Well, I mean, listen, where I think the rubber hits the road here, ladies and gentlemen, is you give a reveal in 2024, right? You close out your year with a handheld hardware announcement. You got Indiana Jones right after that. You've already had an amazing year. You opened up the year with Hellblade 2, which by far is one of the greatest looking games ever to release on console. There's just no doubt about it. And then you've had a lot of middleware there. You've had tremendous support from third party. You've had tremendous day one reveals and releases into Xbox Game Pass. And then you bookend the year going into what is expected to be one of the biggest years for Xbox, right? Just based on the games that they have already confirmed, it is going to be a monster-sized year. Again, you back-to-back this. 23 was a great year for Xbox. 24 is a great year for Xbox. Now, messaging, not so much. But games and services, sure. Right? Then you close out the year. You obviously will be on the cusp of the release for Indiana Jones. Everyone is still excited and probably still playing Starfield Shattered Space, because that's expected to be a really, and we're going to get into that in a second, really, really big expansion. And again, anyone that's a Fallout fan knows what Far Harbor was. And apparently, and again, I never played it, one of the biggest expansions in Fallout history. This is what it's being compared to. So that's a really big deal. Look, I this is just an assumption. It's just a conversation. I'm taking the words from Sarah Bond and I'm saying, well, if you're going to do something exciting, if you're going to do something in the holiday, it's not going to be the console. The console is still 2 years out. The console is probably happening in 2026. Where this gets interesting is if the handheld, which is expected to be open-ended like a ROG Ally and like a Steam Deck, maybe this is the test specs or the test piece of hardware to what the actual box underneath your TV is going to be, right? They're going to work out all the kinks on this handheld being open-ended. You play your Steam games, you play your Epic Game Store, you play your Game Pass, loads up, has a UI just like Xbox, and it sells it for X price, and it's great. You download, it's going to have a hard drive. You'll be able to download your games, play natively, which is what you can't do with the PlayStation Portal. And you then counterpunch Sony's launch of their mid-gen refresh, which isn't getting a lot of conversation. Most of the conversation coming out of the PlayStation 5 Pro reveal has been nothing short of negative. And not just Xbox guys, dogpiling on it. I'm talking about even like Digital Foundry getting out there and putting out some pretty interesting theories and thoughts. Now, this console is going to come out in November. And who's it going to be for? The hardcore, that's about it, especially at that price. And a few weeks later, well, you have the series, whatever, handheld series shown off at the Game Awards. It's a counterpunch, and it takes the wind right out of Sony sales. I'm just saying that's how I would do it. And if we're just going based on what Sarah Bond said during that February 15th sit down, maybe that's what's happening. But, gentlemen, I want to continue our conversation, and I want to talk about the recent Starfield Shattered Space direct, if you will. We got a chance to see a lot of gameplay. We got a chance to see during this direct that was done and posted by Bethesda themselves. We got a breakdown of what's going to be in here. The House of Varun being obviously the main focus. It's an organization that is sheltered. They're very secretive. This area that we're going to be in is going to be handcrafted. It's not going to be procedurally generated like Starfield's planets are, so that everything is going to be there with purpose. The story that's going to be told is going to be on this one planet. I'm very much excited for that. I'm sure there's going to be things to find. I'm sure there's going to be exploration with the new vehicle, the Rev 8. This is actually happening on the 30th of September. But Umbra, I'm going to go reverse order. I'm going to go to you first on this because you made mention of something that was a bit odd. Now, you mentioned Clobriel, right? Now, this was Clobriel responding to who I believe is above board. Now, if you like insider gaming or you don't, that's entirely up to you. I'm never going to tell you what to read, what not to read. But Insider Gaming posted something that really set off the community in a bad way. And Clobriel responded to it. And like Umbra, I'm glad that he did because it needed to be said. Now, basically, the title for the article is 1 year later, will Shattered Space save Starfield? Now, my thing is this. They've had over 12 million people play this game, and it's going to continue to grow. That's a lot of people playing a game that was dead on arrival, according to the press. IGN, if I recall, gave it not 1 but 2 sevens. They gave it 1 7 on the Xbox, 1 7 on the PC because, well, Dan Stapleton wanted to kind of give it to Xbox, and he did. I played the game, and I have a mere, and I'm not being facetious, folks, a mere 5 days and like 12 hours into it. That is small potatoes compared to other people, like, for instance, Infinite Umbra, who has probably double or even triple that. And I'm excited for this. And of course, the slapback, if you will, from Clobriel is says this: it sure as hell won't save it from this super weird and goofy Starfield clickbait obsession since day one. Starfield is great. It always was, and thanks to consistent updates, mod support, and the upcoming expansion, it soon can be amazing. Now, of course, the direct Umbra that they had was, it's a video. You go and you watch it. I've watched it twice. I've watched it twice. One as a fan, and second time to make sure that I had some keep talking points. And it's well worth the watch. And again, folks, this is not picking on anybody. This is not console warring or my flag in the sand against journalistic ridiculousness. Paul Tassi. Now, I like Paul, right? Paul Tassi is a journalist. He currently writes for Forbes. I don't agree with a lot of his things, but I would imagine he doesn't agree with a lot of my points either. But I do like Paul as a journalist. I will read his stuff. Well, he posted this morning, obviously adding the Starfield, direct. And he says this, Umbra, I'm very curious about the attach rate of significant paid DLC to a game most people got for free on Game Pass. Like, why? Now, again, folks, I'm not a tactician. I'm not a mathematician or a business major. But one of the things that I saw almost like it happened on a consistent basis was people played Starfield through Xbox Game Pass, but bought the $30 upgrade to get all of the extra, the early access, to get the extra equipment, and of course, more importantly, to get the first DLC called Shattered Space, which is included in this. And it sold very well for them. It's the same thing is going to happen with Call of Duty when Call of Duty releases in October. There are going to be a lot of folks that are inclined to spend that $30 on the Vault Edition because they're getting the game in their service, and they're more likely to buy that and spend more money on DLC through microtransactions for the online play. It's business 101, and it just freaking works. So I don't understand this comment. I don't understand what he's asking for. He's a journalist, so he probably has access a lot more than I do, and it was able to very easily find how many people bought the DLC. Umbra, let's talk about the House of Varun. This is a massive DLC. This is going to sell well, and it's going to bring a lot of people back to Starfield. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this, man. I watched a video clip. I watched it again before we started, and what I'm most impressed by, and I'm pretty sure most of us in the same boat, the color palette they chose for this.
Yes.
Like, it's really vibrant.
Those dark purples. They have the different shades of violet. Yeah,
a lot of the
phenomenal.
blues.
Yes.
It seems kind of a big contrast, or a stark at least contrast, compared to the vanilla game. Like, you play the vanilla game, you're going to find some beautiful shots. You're going to find some beautiful planets, things of that nature, and you're going to see distant suns and things of that nature and stars or whatever. But what I'm most impressed by is the color palette choice and option, and the lighting is just ridiculously good. Guns are sounding as great as I remember. Mind you, I have 334 hours in this game. I am going to jump back in and start all the way over and putting the Star Wars mod on mine. I'm going to have, this time I'm for real. Like, now I have my PC. I'm starting over on a PC. I'm putting all the Star Wars mods on it. I'm going to have the Millennium Falcon of our dreams, not a fan made one, but
I would go with Boba Fett's ship, but that's just me. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, the slave one. I think they might have that in there, the slave one. But yeah, I want to do all of that, and I'm definitely going to get into that, man. They speak a lot about us exploring House Varun, That's one of the things that was left as a mystery in the main game. So I'm loving a lot of that. It also has this kind of mysterious, kind of creepy thing going about it. Seeing how they were in the shadows and investigating this place inside of this facility and things like that before being KO'd, I guess, by somebody. So I'm wondering how it's all going to play out. A lot of mystery. And also, we saw, I think they showed some new alien life that we be combating, if I'm not mistaken. The last little enemy, or not little, but enemy they showed looked like something out of Aliens.
Yeah, I've never seen that. I've never come across it. But then again, Starfield is massive, right? So,
true,
but they did say that we're going to be new creatures.
Yeah, so it's a lot of that. I don't know, man. I'm really excited for it. I'm sure it's going to do great. It's coming out. It's the 30th, right? So yeah,
September 30th.
It's been a solid month. I'm really excited to jump back into that and really see how explorable that is. Also, too, they said we allowed to leave and things of that nature, so we're not like stuck into that. I guess mission, if you will, once we started up. It's a little unique in that way. So I like a lot about what I'm hearing with it. I'm just really excited to jump in.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's the first expansion. It happens, a year and a couple of weeks, almost close to the anniversary of when Starfield released. It is a massive expansion. It is going to bring a lot of people back to it, like myself, who's been away for a while. I'm gonna actually, I've downloaded all of the updates. I want to go back into it before and start playing a little bit. I've been playing Lollipop Chainsaw, which is of course the Repop edition. And they updated it today, and they broke the game. I can't get past the second level. I can't even start the second level. It's weird. I'm gonna reach out.
Wow.
To see if they broke the game. I got an update this morning, and everything was great. And you start the second level, and you're just there. So the game is broken. I didn't want the update. It was automatically updated. So there you go. But I'm sure that they're aware of it, and they'll break it. But
let me ask you: during this video, I don't want to say direct, but during this breakdown of House of Ruin and the Shattered Space DLC, did they speak on the length that we should expect? I'm not sure if I caught that part.
I watched it. The first time I watched it, like eyes and ears on it. The second time I had it in the background as I was doing things. I don't recall if anyone in the chat heard that. Where is it a 20-hour campaign, a 50-hour? I don't think that they put a timer on it. At least I don't recall hearing that. Now I could be 1,000% wrong, but then again, this is an art. Look, you know why time should matter to you? I'm gonna tell you why. Because, and again, how everyone plays games is different. Like me and you, Umbra, we're like kindred spirits. We play the games almost like identical, where there'll be a 12-hour campaign, and somehow we found a way to put 60 hours into it.
Yeah. Without
what I'm saying? Because we go here, there, and everywhere. I never mainline anything. Games, campaigns, DLC, it doesn't matter. I'm always looking around the corner, which is why I'm kind of just enjoying myself with Space Marine 2. Like, I know it's a 12-hour campaign. By the time I beat that, I'm going to have 40 hours in that game. Because I just want to go to every nook and cranny. I am not plowing through anything. I want to enjoy it. And I want to take my time enjoying it. So I go looking for things. Now, do you find much? Is it very linear? Yeah, sure. But I still go looking. And another example, sorry, folks, if this angers you, how long is Astrobot supposed to be? 10 hours, maybe? Some people are like, yeah, I platinumed in 9 hours. Good for you. I got nearly 47 hours into it, and I'm one trophy away from the platform. And I freaking loved every second of it. Because I play games different.
I'm with you on that. I think the game is roughly 6 hours, maybe 7, and let's say 9 if you want to be a completionist, maybe 10, right? 9 to 10 hours. I got at least 18 or 20 hours in it myself, just by taking my time and really just getting into it. So I understand what you mean exactly. Going on Starfield situation, I did see I'm not sure if it was a video essay or something where they were kind of saying Bethesda's the Starfield is their most, I guess, creatively bankrupt idea, and I don't understand what people get this feeling.
Good grief.
Yeah, I don't get it. I really don't.
Grief.
Yeah, I thought that. I mean, we've all thought that Starfield didn't really get too much of a fair shake when it launched,
It didn't.
and
It still
yeah,
hasn't, dude.
I don't think so either. And I think even with this, it might not get the fairest of shakes, but I can't wait to get into it. And those who really matter, the gamers, us, we're going to get into it and give our own thoughts to it at the end of the day. So excited for it. I'm sure most of you guys in the chat are excited for it. Hey, let's put the numbers in when it drops.
Yep,
let's
exactly.
not concord this. That we're gonna turn concord into a verb. Let's not concord it up out there now.
I mean, listen, it's exciting times. I know somebody in the chat had asked me if I'm going to play Plucky Squire. Yeah, I'm buying it. It released today.
Oh, excited to play that too,
dude. What do you call it? Kay Asante beat it, and he wrote a review. It's up. I believe it's up on his site now. And he basically told me that if you love Astrobot, you're gonna just eat this up. I freaking can't wait. I am so there. That's what I'm playing. That's literally what I'm playing today. I get Lollipop Chainsaw will work itself out. Space Marine 2, I got to get back to. Star Wars, I have to start.
Yeah,
I haven't even started Star Wars. It's you know what, folks? Don't podcast 5 days a week and have to do the housework while poor Mrs. Boom is still slaving and working, because obviously you're not going to have any time for gaming, which is, and again, I work out 3 and 4 days a week, so that's also a bit of a hindrance. But listen, Jamie, let's get your hot take on what has been said about Starfield, and more importantly, your excitement. Because remember, we're literally 13 days away from the release of this of the first expansion called Shattered Space. It looks really freaking good. Again, it's Bethesda knows how to tell a story, and this isn't. Again, will there be world-trotting adventures? Yes. Can you take your spaceship out, go fly, and do something else? According to Umbra, you can. But this is an adventure. This is a story. This is a one planet, handcrafted. So there's not going to be any procedural generation. It's what they're putting into this all is there to make sense and tell a story. Bethesda knows how to tell one really well. I'm super stoked for this. Let's get your thoughts.
Before I get into the whole reason why I'm excited for it, I want to kind of talk about the whole Paul Tassi thing.
Please.
And the attach rate thing, because that was an extremely short-sighted thing to say.
Of course it was. Yeah.
Because I like to pay attention to numbers because I'm a bit of a nerd. And the truth is that Starfield had this, and I'll get into why so many people were hating on it, but before Starfield came out, on its official launch day, over 1 million people were playing it. Right, so that was people that weren't subscribed to Game Pass playing this because it wasn't available early to those players. So all those people that I just mentioned, the 1+ million people playing it before launch, they bought the premium edition upgrade, which includes the expansion. So the expansion has already sold at least, over 1 million copies. So the attach rate comment makes no sense whatsoever, because that was the only way to play the game before its official release day. So maybe he doesn't know that. Maybe he's not into the whole Xbox ecosystem. He doesn't know these things. Maybe he didn't research it. I don't know. I don't know how he works. But that comment didn't make sense. So and plus the premium edition upgrade, people are buying that all the time. I think that it was a bit of a jab, because people like to hate on Microsoft because, they have Game Pass. You get games day one. There's this rhetoric where people go, hey, these gamers don't buy games. But if over 1 million people were buying your expansion before the game bloody launched, that tells me to believe that people were really wanting to play this. So, again, that comment made no bloody sense. It wasn't even researched at all. Maybe he didn't remember, but it threw me off a bit, because it's that made headlines, So unless you bought the fancy collector's edition, you had to get the premium edition upgrade. So that's that. People have been out for Starfield since before it came out. We all know why. It wasn't because of the frame rate. It was because it was exclusive to Xbox. And I find it kind of funny that all of these articles that were against Starfield, like talking about how can Starfield ever recover? It's like Starfield was a success. Like people from Xbox have said it's a financial success. It was a big game in development for a long time, and it was a success. And people just don't like these facts because it launched in Game Pass, right? And a lot of these reviews that, or just say people that were bashing the game, I find it funny that the straw that broke the camel's back when it came to uh, the Bethesda way of game development and the way the game plays, basically Bethesda games, was just so happened to be the game that was exclusive to Xbox. It wasn't Fallout 4, it wasn't Fallout 76, even though that had a big controversy when it came out. No, it was Starfield, the game that actually offers the best gameplay to date in a Bethesda game. It was the least buggiest Bethesda game, but people were all out for it since day one, which says everything. I think Starfield is a fantastic game. Does it have its issues? Of course it does. Every game does. Like, hell, I babble on about Mass Effect basically every single day, and I could list you 1,000 problems with that game. And I think that game is phenomenal. Starfield is an incredible RPG. And the best thing about this expansion, which is why I'm excited about it, is the handcrafted content. The handcrafted content is the best part of the main game. But you're in one of the major cities or doing the main quest lines. That's the best part, or the faction quests. This whole planet is handmade content, which that's a lot of content. Again, we don't know how many hours is in this expansion, but they've described this expansion as being massive. And if it's a whole planet of crafted content featuring faction quests, main quests, new enemy types, like I can bet this is going to be a big expansion. It's going to keep people entertained for a long time. And they recently introduced the rover, so that's going to help people get around this new planet. You can fly up and do your own thing, go and do other quests while the expansion does take place on this one planet. And I think the interesting thing about this expansion is that we haven't seen House Varun throughout the entire main game. We've only heard rumors about it. We didn't even know what it looked like, how people lived there, all that stuff. And it kind of reminds me of House Harkonnen from the Dune series. A very mysterious, ruthless race, or I should say, like a group of people, and like it's going to be a good game. I think Bethesda, they excel at making excellent storylines. Their expansions in the past have been good. As a huge Fallout fan, like Fallout 3 had amazing expansions. Like Mothership Zeta, one of the best expansions of all time, in my opinion. And this expansion screams peak Bethesda. And I know people like to bash the game because, it's all these planets and there's nothing to do, but like it's meant to be a realistic sci-fi, style game. You don't watch Interstellar to expect aliens, popping around every corner. It's a realistic science fiction movie. And they're doing the same thing with this game. So while there are like aliens that are like wildlife, you're not going to have like Star Wars style battles and all that stuff. But it's an exciting expansion. It's just around the corner. And again, if people have the the Ultimate Edition upgrade, or I should say Premium Edition upgrade, they're going to have it there. They don't even have to pay any more for it. I think it's an exciting time for the game and gamers. And look, the game's going to grow. We've been told for a while this is the first expansion. Like, we don't know when the next one's going to be. I assume we're going to get maybe one major premium expansion a year. But Bethesda, they have no plans on slowing down with this game. So it's clearly selling well, other than it being performing well in Game Pass. So I wouldn't worry about this game at all. It's going to be good.
I think it's going to be fantastic. And I think there's a lot to get excited about. I think when you consider a planet of handcrafted adventures, stories, characters, creatures, places to go, you're gonna, if you are, again, whether you straight line it or you're like me, Umbra, and Jamie here, where it's our oyster, so we're just gonna really get into it. You may have a 18-hour experience, and I might have a 27-hour experience, but we're all gonna have fun all the same. And again, I think you're going to see a lot of people come back to this in a big way. The $30 expansion, now obviously a lot of people bought it get early access. You got a bunch of gear, and you got the expansion. I don't know what the expansion costs outside if you're buying it. I don't think it's $30, but maybe it is. I honestly I didn't even bother looking it up because I have it included in my package that I bought. It's fine. But needless to say, yes, if you are a Starfield fan, there is a lot to get excited about, whether you play on PC, whether you play on Xbox. Where you're not going to be playing is on PlayStation 5. Maybe that happens next year, but for the remainder of 2024, the only way you're playing this is if you have a PC that's capable, and a lot of people do, or an Xbox Series X or S, and there you go. Let me catch up on Super Chats. Hey, Mav, what's going on, brother? Welcome, as always. See a lot of new faces here. I do want to say, folks, if you are finding the channel for the first time, Mrs. Boom and I are officially at 15.1K, which, of course, is 15,100 plus. And that is a really big deal. We've only been doing this. We make our 6th year on YouTube, November 3rd of 2024. And we've crossed some pretty insane numbers where we have we just announced a couple of weeks ago that the channel itself has seen 6.5 million views. That is ridiculous for the size of our channel, but we're consistent with the content. And if you like honest opinions, if you like fun, if you like pointed thoughts and theories, consider subscribing. I do this 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. 5 different panels, 5 different shows, all great content. And we don't clickbait you to get you in here, and we don't use hate rhetoric. We do have pointed opinions, but they're never hate-driven. And that's super important to us and why we run the channel the way that we do. But let me just catch up on Super Chats, and we're going to get into the information that was posted yesterday about, well, Diablo 4 making $1 billion. That is a really, really big deal. Umbra, you had a lot of thoughts and theories on the socials. Jamie, I haven't played it yet. I know that's going to sound ridiculous. I have not played it. I bought the game originally to play with Mrs. Boom. She wasn't into it.
She wasn't.
I never went back. Huh? Yeah, it was just. We liked 3. We've beaten 3 times. She was expecting for 4 to be like 3. It wasn't. So it wasn't like that. She was like, I'm not into it. She's more, and now again, this is for the older crowd. Remember Baldur's Gate? Not the new one, but the one by Interplay. We play those yearly. We have them 1 and 2, and we've beaten them probably 20 times each. And we sit there for hours. We run through it, and we have a blast. That's what she likes. It's a simplistic isometric view. Characters that she can get into. She loves being like a mage or a magician, and that's her thing. So I know that there's been some big changes, or there are changes coming to Diablo 4. When those changes happen, if it plays similar, we'll probably get into it. But again, everyone that's played it has loved it, and it was a big boon for Xbox Game Pass for sure. But Sky, son of Skyrim, 75, who's been a channel member for a baker's dozen, 13 months, brother. Thank you so much for the outstanding support. He says, I'm thinking that there will be an Xbox-branded Samsung Galaxy X coming in 2025, though it's just a theory. But they do have a tight partnership with Samsung. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, they're getting into mobile, right? With King. I mean, that's definitely tracking, dude. Sith Lord, our very good brother, drops a very generous $2 super chat. Says, I wish the handheld was the Series Z concept. Yeah, that Series Z concept is exactly what I hope that it looks like. That looks dope. Nice, big, powerful screen. Nice, beefy thing. I think it's happening. I really do. Again, clip me, folks, because there's been a lot of people doing that lately, and maybe I'll be right on this one. Decided D drops a very generous $5 super chat, and Decided D says, this is to anyone interested in retro gaming. Evocade V-SR just released with Tomb Raider collection for $100, also releasing soon with the Legacy of Kain collection. Now, the Evercade, what actually is that? Is it a handheld? Because I imported a couple of handhelds that I wound up having to send back that had great games, but the screens were too small. They were just tiny. One had even Aliens versus Predator, which is why I bought it. And obviously it worked great, but the screen is, I think it was like 3.5 inches. That's I mean, I'm an old man. I need at least an 8-inch OLED screen to enjoy the game. Will Broke Boy Lewis drops not one but two super chats. The first one of $5. Will says this: I'm hoping you can play the Shattered Space DLC without time in base game. Wasn't really interested in the base, but I do want to play the DLC. That's an interesting thought. I don't know because I started a new game plus. I have like 2 or 3 hours into it, and I got whisked away by another game. Which is why I only have, and I'm not being facetious, I only have like 5 days and 12 hours in the game, which isn't a lot compared to a lot of people.
Yeah, I would say I doubt it, though. I doubt that's going to be the case that they allow for that. I mean, you're going to have a foundation to going to the House of Room, right? So you have
I would
to
think so.
Yeah, you'd have to have done certain missions to be
unless
included with the House of Room.
Unless Umbra, and this is my thought again. This is I'm taking a shot in the dark here. Unless there is a base save that they offer. Like, hey, if you just want to start the House of Varun, you can start this new character at this
Right.
level.
That's true.
Or
they could go even further. Like, I don't know if you all remember or saw this, but for instance, and when you're going through I forgot the name of the Atlantis. Is it Atlantis? When you're first going through that major first settlement.
Yes.
The metropolis looking, one.
Right.
And you go to like this near the train station and such. There is a flyer you can get that allows you to join. What is their name? It allows you to get to start up a mission to join.
The military branch, right?
Yeah, it's like a Japanese themed one. I cannot remember the name of it right now, but they could have something like that where it's explore the mysteries of Varun or something like that, where you hit that and then start from that. That's possible too, I suppose. To be fair, I need to look up.
We'll see.
Look up these factions. I hate not knowing the name.
Yeah, it's possible. It's definitely possible that they will offer a base level. Hey, level 30, boom. Start with this. It's possible. That's an interesting thought. If I hear anything, Will, I'll DM you.
Ryujin, that's the name. Ryujin Industries.
Yes, which I didn't do that faction. I think I got in, and then they wanted me to steal from the ladies, and the pops that ran the business. I'm like, yeah, I can't. I'm moral. My moral compass won't let me do it. I didn't because I felt bad for her. She's gonna lose everything.
You telling me you didn't kill Granny in the space?
I certainly did not. I actually visit her quite often for snacks because Grandma on that spaceship is cool as all hell. Will Broke Boy Lewis drops an additional very generous $10 super chat and says, question for IU, infinite number, that's you. Got some PS guys in my PS versus Xbox quote tweeting you in regards to two things. One says you use console and don't deal with PC. That's a lie. I can tell you that for an absolute fact because he has a beefy PC, pause. And it says, but new post says that you get more capable PC. Yeah, it was a thing. I'll let you answer that infinite number. It's take it away.
So I addressed it a bit earlier in the show. We were kind of introductions. Basically, one of our Hoot brothers he got upset because I simply gave a thought on our brother Fun's Gaming's post where I just said, well, hey, this is what I was telling our Hoot brothers because it was off the DF finds of the looking at the PS5 Pro screen shown and such and their breakdown of it, and it wasn't overall as impressive as a lot of people wanted it to be. So I was just like, hey, listen, just simple rationale. If you all want a performative thing, since you're going for this and you're saying, hey, it's comparable to the 4070, that's all we kept hearing. 4070, 47. Oh, look, you bots, we got a 4070. It's like, okay, well, why not just go the extra step and get yourself a PC as capable? So that's where that started from. But and I had a lot of people, I guess a lot of our Who brothers got upset. And it wasn't mean. It wasn't me telling them what to do. It was just asking a question like, hey, why not this? And that's what it all stemmed from. As far as me with the PC gaming, I've been pretty clear. Like I use it, I'm strictly using it for the more advanced games, like that I need to perform at their best. So, for instance, when we had Hellblade 2, although it did perform very well on Xbox, and I played on both, it played exceptionally well on PC. It looked even better if you can manage to believe your eyeballs. If you can see it on Xbox Series X, you can only imagine how good it looked on this PC. I can only tell you.
There you go.
And
Yep.
this is why people were like, "Oh, Black Myth looks better." No, it didn't. Hellblade 2 looked insane. My eyes have still not healed from the burning of the awesomeness of it. But also just for high performance type games that I want to play at their best without any compromise, and maybe games that we can't get on Xbox, right? Like I can go to Steam and play something. That's really it. Everything else I'm going to play on console. It is what it is. I'm still sub to Game Pass all the way to the end of 2026, and I'm going to keep doing that. It's not like I'm going to give up on that. So
Right.
that's where a lot of that came from, and it's just a lot of idiocy really around it. And I guess people kind of believe if you have a PC where you can't do both, and it's like, yes, you can. I can play both. You know.
It's this line in the sand that you have to draw as a console gamer mentality that it's sad, it's small-minded. I don't game on PC because I don't choose to. I can afford a rig. I can put a $3,000 rig together today. I don't want to do that. I enjoy the simplicity of popping on my my console with the press of a button and just going. Hellblade, yes, it ran at 30, not a problem. Other games have run at 30. It's not a problem for me. If it's a problem for you, then obviously, listen. I said this the other day. I challenge Microsoft and Xbox Game Studios to make modes that are for your players, meaning that there should be a 30 frames mode that gives you killer graphics, and there should be a choice there at launch with these games to give you a 60 FPS performance mode. That should happen. Sony does it with almost every one of their games. Now, I'm not saying Sony's better at it. I'm saying that Sony offers that with a lot of their games. Talking about first party. So I think Xbox needs to follow that and at least offer it for the masses. And I'm not talking about the masses, Umbra, on PC Game Pass. I'm talking about console.
100% agreed. And I think I think it's something that can be done. I've seen other people mention it, like having a scaling, like for instance, with I'll go back to Black Myth because, for instance, you have on PC, you got the DLSS and you can scale this and that. Well, they can add these types of options to console too. I want to turn off this and turn this up. I want to put that to low, but turn this up visually. They can do that. I just think they haven't really been used to doing it on console because it's just like, here, you get what we give you. But I think next gen might open the door for something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We will. Okay, if it's going to be more PC-like, then it's probably going to do exactly that. But shout out to Will Broke Boy Lewis has become a channel member. Once again, brother, thank you so much for the unbelievable support. But gentlemen, let's get into this now. The story that I pulled is from one of my favorite places to get stories, and that, of course, is Windows Central. Now, normally we talk about Jez Corden on a regular basis because I like Jez. I know him personally. Great reporter. Tip of the spear when it comes to journalistic integrity, in my opinion. Now, if yours is different, that's fine. But the story that I pulled was written by Brendan Lowry. It says Diablo 4 has made $1 billion and counting for Blizzard, and a huge chunk of that comes from devilish microtransactions. Now, he's not being facetious. Well, he is being facetious. He's not being pointed like, oh, the microtransactions are a problem. It's simply, well, Diablo is the devil, right? So there you go. But interestingly enough, let me read you the section, one of my favorite sections of their articles, because it really does kind of give us a nice synopsis, if you will, of what's happening and what they're talking about. It says, what you need to know section. And it says, Blizzard Entertainment's popular action RPG, Diablo 4, was one of the biggest games in 2023 and has continued to be a huge success in 2024. Now, new details from a developer's LinkedIn profile have revealed that the game has made over $1 billion in total revenue since its launch last year, with 150 million of that coming from in-game microtransaction purchases. Diablo 4's microtransactions have a reputation for being egregiously overpriced, and many players have scathingly criticized them for that for many months. And again, I haven't bought any. I know that some of them are over $20 or $20. That's, to me, is ridiculous, but whatever. I mean, I guess there's a financial audience for every game. It finally closes out by saying, however, Diablo 4 has also gotten significant improvements and additions over time, with the upcoming Vessel of Hatred expansion looking to be a huge boost to the game. Jamie, look, I think it's safe to say that the investment in ABK was worth it. This is another billion-dollar franchise that Xbox can add to the list of, well, franchises that can not only continue to make money well after they're released, but it's in the billion-dollar club. Not very easy to do, but somehow Microsoft has at least a half a dozen of them, potentially more. Let's talk about it. Again, this is big news. I'm not a Diablo player yet. I'm going to get into it. I'm waiting for some different changes. Maybe I've heard that they're going to make it more like 3. If they do change that way, then Mrs. Boom and I are definitely going to get down with that. But what's been your experience with it? Are you surprised by $1 billion since the release of last year?
Yeah, so I'm a very casual Diablo player, but I love the gameplay, and I think the news doesn't actually come surprising to me because it's so much fun. I think when it comes to this type of game, that whether you're on PC or console, it just plays really well. It's easy to understand, and like I think when it comes to like Diablo 3 had that really addictive gameplay loop. But with this, you have the open world, and there's like so many different dungeons you can explore, and there's a challenge to a lot of them. And I think that's the broad appeal to the game. Also, the exploration element, and just the amount of different side quests you find in the open world with all these interesting characters. It really feels like a lived-in world. So, like when they put it on Game Pass, there's probably a couple of million people like me that played that for the first time and thought, wow, like that's their first Diablo game because it's just so much fun. I think in the past when a lot of games like this have came to console, a PC centric game, the UI has been a mess. It's been hard to get into. Maybe it hasn't fit the controller that well, but with this, it's borderline perfect in my opinion. And with the updates that's coming, that's going to completely revamp some of the gameplay elements. Apparently, it's going to like make the game even better, even borrow some stuff from 3.
Yes.
And like, look, it has microtransactions, but they are cosmetics, right? So it's stuff you don't really need at the end of the day. But if you want a really cool armor piece with like horns and whatnot, hey, maybe if you want to spend an extra £15, that's on you. But the big thing about this game is that massive amount of content there. But this huge expansion that's coming this year, Vessel of Hatred next month, like this is basically going to be the size of a whole new game with a whole new class that plays completely differently. So, like with this game being as big as it is, they're going to be able to make expansions for it for years to come. And consider how much they've supported other games in the past. Like look at World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft's 20 years old. Crazy if you think about it.
And it just got a new expansion. When did that release? August 26th of 2024.
Yeah, and it's still going strong, and there's no slowing down. So, like with Diablo 4, as big as it is, and as big as that expansion is coming with the new region and stuff, like potentially they could keep this going on for years and years and years. Yeah. So, like the potential is endless. And if people are new to the franchise or new to the game, it's easy to hop into. Like I am not a hardcore Diablo player, but I love just the simplicity of it. And like people will bring up, Path of Exile being a similar game that's more hardcore. It's like, yeah, that's going to be more hardcore experience. And I think the first game's free to play, but like Diablo 4 itself, it's a great game. It really is. And just like, Game Pass has been the number one way to play it. And it was already a big game anyway, selling in the millions. So it's like this game has the potential to go on for like 5-10 years potentially, depending on what they do with it. So like For me personally, I can't wait to get in the expansion. I still have a long way to go with the main story because this game, like Diablo 4, is bloody massive. Like I still haven't got a horse in that game. I'm still doing side quests. So like I'm wandering around for hours just doing side stuff, and I love it. The simplicity of the combat, it's just so cool. The amount of enemies on screen, like people will talk about all day about performance and whatnot. Like, but when you play that game and there's like 50 enemies rushing towards you and you're playing as a sorcerer, you genuinely feel powerful even early on in the game. So if like people are new to the game, or like I said with the franchise, hop in. It's in Game Pass. It's just great, and I'm looking forward to the future of it because it could be endless potential, really.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a big deal, and Umbra, look, I want to bring you in on this $1 billion conversation, but just kind of obviously we're going to talk about Vessel of Hatred that actually releases October 8th, so it's 8 days after Shattered Space, which is bonkers. But when you hear, this is just a thought that popped into my head because I was looking at a list of stuff. When you consider what Sony has done in 2024, it's been minuscule at best, right? Their best game is Astrobot, hands down, no questions asked. After that, there's just not a lot happening. But when you talk about Xbox and you hear the very loud anti-Xbox community, both on the social part of it as well as the gaming media, just look at some of the things that they've already done and are happening in the next few months. Diablo Vessel of Hatred, you heard Jamie just say it's a massive addition to a DLC. Massive, right? Shattered Space is going to be big. World of Warcraft had their massive DLC happen in August August 26th of 2024. Call of Duty coming out in October. Indiana Jones, December. You've Hellblade to open up the 24 campaign and everything that's been there for first party that's RTS related. There's been a lot to get excited about with Xbox. How it's negative, I literally have no idea, but I guess that's just the way the ball bounces. But let's talk about $1 billion franchise that is owned, that's considered Xbox first party. Pretty incredible.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. You know what I was really surprised by was that it only brought in 150 million in microtransactions. And I know that
and
sounds
you say
insane
only.
to say. Yeah, it sounds
It's
insane to
crazy.
say, right? Only that's it. But like, am I alone in that? Like, I thought it was going to bring in so much more as far as MTX. But so I was a little surprised by that number. I mean, it is still astronomical. Don't get me wrong, but I just thought it was going to be so much more.
That's
But
only in a year, though. You know
that's
what I'm
true.
saying? Because
Yeah.
Diablo 4 released. When did it release? Oh, I just had it here.
Well, when did I think it released
June,
a year and a half ago now, something like that.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now. June 5th of 23, it released last year.
Okay, so it was last year. Wow, time does fly. I guess I underestimated that. Yeah, that within a year, that's pretty good. I don't know how long it'll go where it's going to continue bringing in the money, but everything that I'm hearing about it, and like you mentioned with Jez, you also have shout out to both him and Jen. I'm not sure if you guys see her on Twitter, but Jen is a great person to talk with her sometimes here and there in parties. She's really dope, and she's a big fan of Diablo.
Yeah.
She's always
Didn't
playing.
She write up the whole backstory of
she did.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, she did. She's a mega fan. As much as Jazz is a WoW fan, she's Diablo. So they're both blizzarded up over there. But yeah, from everything I'm hearing about it, it sounds like, because I know there were a lot of complaints in general about Diablo from some of the fans. We're like, oh, they didn't like this, we didn't like that. But I think that's kind of the fan base, no matter what game is going to be, especially an ongoing kind of game like this. But yeah, they introduced a lot of new stuff from different storylines, the vampire hunters, et cetera, different gameplay enhancements, stuff like that, and rewards. Yeah, so then they really listen to the feedback from the community. I really appreciate how they're handling it. And I mean, I think I kind of expected it to be really solid. Everything we saw leading up to Diablo 4, as far as dev videos and things like that, all looks like, yeah, this game is going to be dope. That's one. Plus, you got Rod Ferguson there. You had to know it was going to be good, right? So shout out to all of them there, the devs that behind Diablo 4. Really excited for the new expansion. I might have to get back into it, man. It's one of those things where, because I have my Quan, the Shadow of Space drops on the 30th. It's one of those things where I'm like tempted to jump back into it, but it's like a time
is
sink
an issue, brother.
Yeah,
It's just not enough time in the day,
there's
man.
not enough time. It's a time sink, and my buddy was asking me, "Why don't you jump into WoW?" I'm like, if I jumped into WoW, I'll miss out on all the other games I want to play. It's just not worth doing it. Yeah, as much as I want to try it out and to get into it, I just can't. I mean, it's an MMO. I just, it's going to take all the time in the world to play. I'm not good at balancing. And like, I'm the type 2 boomer. We were talking about how we will put so much hours into a game. Yeah, like imagine the time I put into Diablo. I didn't even look at my hours on that, but I know it's ridiculous too, right? And I know there's people that's way beyond me right now. But I'm just saying, like, even for the time I did play it, I put a lot of time into that thing, and I was like really into it, from looking up craftings and builds and things like that for my characters. Like, it's a lot, So that's the one thing about games like this, is that it takes a lot to get back into, to try to balance it, because if I do it, I don't know how to go halfway in. There's no such thing as halfway crooks, as they say. Well, that much is true for me when it comes to games. I'm no such thing as halfway gaming. If I jump into that game, I'm in that game. You know what I mean? I'm like EA Sports. But I just feel like I definitely do want to give it a try when the new expansion drops and things like that. You said it's dropping soon, right?
What, Festival of Hatred is 8th,
yeah,
the 8th of October, a week, 8 days later.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I want to play it, but it's like, man, if I do,
that's it. Your life's over. Your life's over. Because then you got Call of Duty a couple of weeks later. Of course, I can't wait. Then you got, I don't know what the big games are in November. I don't have the list in front of me. December is obviously indie. They just Bethesda literally just tweeted, no sand trap can hold Indiana Jones. I saw that behind the scenes. I saw the whole sequence for that. Man, I cannot wait for that game. That is my most anticipated game of the year. It is, and by the way, folks, 60 frames confirmed by Xbox themselves. Let's go look at the stats at 60 FPS on there, along with HDR and all of the bells and whistles you'd expect for next generation. That game is going to slap. I cannot wait. But look, at the end of the day, gentlemen, this has been one hell of a 90-minute show. I mean, great conversation all around. 3 major topics to get into. We had over 600 live viewers across X and YouTube. So a big thank you to everyone that tuned in. Let me make sure I'm caught up on all super chats, and then we'll get everyone out of here. And yes, I am caught up. So thank you to all of the super chats and the channel members that continue to support the channel, both front forward facing and behind the scenes with the channel members. We greatly appreciate the support. Jamie Moran, you have a show happening later this afternoon. Let's get into that. Where can people subscribe? Tune in to your show that you have called All Things Xbox each and every week. And more importantly, follow you, potentially stalk you on social media, because you know how those inmates from Arkham are. They have no rest for the weary.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, thanks again for having us on again. Always a pleasure talking to you too. Yeah, so my YouTube channel is The Elusive Game. I basically exclusively cover Xbox, and I dabble in, covering other games like Mass Effect, obviously. I have All Things Xbox podcast on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, where it's around about a 2-hour show max, covering everything gaming on Xbox. It's going to be a fun show tonight, and I'm sure the positive stories we have will anger some people, because for some reason the Arkham Asylum escapees get really angry at Xbox positivity. It's even when there's just good news. And TGS is around the corner, so we're going to be talking about that. Should be some Final Fantasy talk. It's going to be a good time. And that's on The Elusive Gamer on YouTube, and on Twitter it's Jamie Moran UK, where it's exclusively gaming and jokes.
Well, we love that you're a part of this show, and we can't wait to see what you talk about this evening. It's going to be great. Infinite Umbra, let's sell the brand of the fix. Thursday evenings, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with yourself and, of course, Daniel McGee, your brother from another. And occasionally they get some guests on there. Obviously, there's still a lot of great Xbox news, specifically happening. Even like right now as we speak, there's been a lot. Even over the weekend, we had a lot of really big news. Can't wait to see your coverage. Talk about it, brother. Sell the brand. Where can people subscribe? And more importantly, follow you on social media?
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Boom, for having us, of course. Like Jamie said, or I'll parrot that. Absolutely fun to have a good conversation with you guys. Even when I'm tired, I'm still holding on. I'm I forgot the guy's name, so I'm gonna leave that joke alone. Anyway, I was gonna start singing too, but it's best I just keep going. As far I was looking up some games for November, right? So you got a bunch. You got Mario and Luigi Brothership.
Yeah, can't wait.
You
Pre-ordered
got
already.
you got the Slitterhead game coming out. You have Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake, which I'm actually thinking of getting. You got Assassin's Creed
Oh, that's the
dropping,
big one.
Shadows.
Yes, cannot wait.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't wait for that game.
Path of Exile 2 early access. You have what is this? Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. We have Stalker 2 finally, 20th of November. Genshin Impact is finally hitting Xbox 2 as well. So you got a good amount of games coming up, man. So I think everybody should be pretty excited. So it's going to be a solid year going forward. Like it's a ton of things to play that we won't all get to, unfortunately. But yeah. As far as myself, shout out to the chat. Thank you guys for holding us down. You guys can find me on Twitter, X, Infinite Umbra, or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way. Thursdays, as Boom pointed out, on Xbox, the Fix at 8 o'clock Eastern. Fridays, typically for myself, Risky for the Biscuit, that blue number, and Dante Spriggan on the Infinite podcast at 8 o'clock Eastern. We are doing some things for that, though, so stay tuned. We'll update. And, of course, you guys find us here on Tuesdays at 12 o'clock Eastern. So, yeah. Come back next week where I'll probably have more rest and be more energetic now.
You were fantastic as always. Listen, you work midnight, so the fact that you even show up is phenomenal. We are greatly appreciative of that. But again, hopefully you enjoyed it enough to hit the like button before you get on out of here. If you're feeling super generous, you want to share this on the socials, let people know where they can come for positive Xbox news and the Xbox Factor podcast, and of course, selling the brand of the elusive gamer Jamie Moran as well as Infinite Umbra. It would be greatly appreciated. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully, one day will be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor podcast.